Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage, where we take a look at games, chat about the gaming news in the industry, and of course, stream for fun. Today we're taking a look at the Ubisoft Showcase. Now this is the last showcase we have for a while, which is nice. The next one that we have is at the end of the month with Nintendo Direct. But we've already covered Sony, we've covered Summer Game Fest, Xbox Showcase, and now Ubisoft. And there will be some other ones, but I really don't feel the need to really cover these as these are kind of the four big ones that we have. And so, what you're seeing on the screen is just something for you guys to look at instead of just looking at a menu screen. You're still looking at a menu screen, but it's a little more interesting and two-way all the way. So, absolutely. So, thanks for tuning in, folks. Today, we're going to go over the Ubisoft Showcase. We're mainly going to talk about Star Wars Outlaws and also Assassin's Creed Shadows, which they had deep dives to share with us. And then there was a little bit to share, and then I'll just have my final thoughts at the end. So let's go ahead and get started. So for Star Wars Outlaws, they had extended gameplay for us, which was nice. Again, this is coming out August 30th, and the gameplay actually looked pretty good. It looked pretty fluid. The animations looked actually pretty good. But we got to see definitely more this time, more than we normally do. And, we're looking at space movement and combat, kind of like No Man's Sky. Kind of like a mixture between No Man's Sky and Starfield. It's somewhere in the middle. But again, we do have what's kind of looks like loading screens, but there's something visually to engage with. They're not like a hard loading screen where it's very blunt and apparent. It's more hidden in a way, which is nice. It's more covered up, these transition zones that we have from space to planet and back again. So that's actually really nice. The planet maps, we got to see a little bit of that. They actually look pretty big. And you actually get to uncover them as you roam around the planet. Now, of course, these won't be infinite. Okay, they will have a limitation, but there are like everything from cities to lone outposts to explore on the main planets. And it looks like there's like 4 or 5 main planets to explore. Each one associated with like a syndicate or like a big location. And we honestly have like 3 main syndicates, and then plus the Empire that we have. And what you choose to decide, even big or small, all plays an effect of how the syndicates and the Empire are going to engage with you, and how that's going to affect your game as you're playing. And if some of them are ticked off at you, it's not like impossible to reverse any of that. Some of it you're still able to reverse, of course. Probably most of it, honestly. But yeah, it will make things more challenging. How exactly it'll change things for you, we don't necessarily know. Maybe they'll send different bounty hunters after you. Maybe they'll engage with you when they see you out in space or on a planet. We don't know. We didn't get to see that side of gameplay. But we do know there will be 3 main factions. We got to see, too, that you'll have kind of like different abilities or skills or whatever that you can get, like learning different, leveling up different attachments, and some of these abilities or skills you're able to acquire through like side quests to continue to improve your character. Some of these are definitely going to make the game easier. Most of them probably will. Some of them will kind of enhance the gameplay, and I feel like some of them in a way will cheese the gameplay. We got to see one skill being used where there was like an execution of 5 characters at the same time, and basically you push a button, and in classic Ubisoft style, the game just does it for you, which I really hate those. I think in some cases Ubisoft games are already easy enough, and that definitely just makes it easier for you. So some of these, personally, I probably wouldn't do. I want the game to be challenging, and Ubisoft games kind of have an issue with that sometimes. You also have a sidekick. A little pet that you've had, that's been with your character for a very, very long time. Sidekick also has some abilities. They're able to like distract enemies, able to like tip or make some things fall over onto your enemies, to kind of stun them or disable them or whatever. And he's able to help you out. So it's kind of cool you have a third party there able to help you engage and change things in the game, which is nice. We also got to see some mini games. You're also going to have vendors. And different vendors are going to be having different types of gear and whatever. And then each vendor is probably going to be associated with the crime syndicate or the Empire. or maybe just kind of more of a neutral party. And so how you're engaged with those main factions in the game is also going to dictate probably what's accessible and what the price range is of those vendors. And you're also going to get more gear and weapons that you can work toward, or enhance ones you already have. I would say that, like, with the overall gameplay, is a mixture of Jedi Survivor, Starfield, and Wildlands. Now, I say Wildlands, Ghost Recon Wildlands, because that also is an Ubisoft game, but we're able to see, like, at one of the areas, there was, like, a small little outpost, and you're able to control your little sidekick NPC to go be distracting, and then you can take some sniper shots. And so you can be tactful out there, out in the field, and it won't be to any degree like Wildlands, but we get a little bit of that. There's also some talking options, but again, I don't think these are going to be huge. It's not going to be like Mass Effect or like Starfield even. It's going to be less than that. And boy, let me tell you, the protagonist talks quite a bit. Kind of talks about what you're seeing, what you're engaging with. That seems to be pretty common in games right now, regardless of who the developer is that the protagonists just talk, and I just wish they would shut up, because we don't need them talking all the time. So that generally was Star Wars Outlaws. So quick little overview there. We will be showing it here on the channel right around launch, and because it's a game that you guys voted for in January. Thank you for those that were with the channel then and voted. You will be able to vote for next year's launch game again next January, so stay tuned for that. Thank you for voting. Next, we got to see Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake. So we got to see a couple of years ago kind of like a remake teaser trailer that looked awful. Oh my word, it was like PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 graphics. I am not even kidding, it was so bad. And then we just didn't hear anything about it at all. What we got this time is we just got a cinematic trailer. It did look very good, by the way, but just a cinematic trailer of just the reversing of a candle being blown out. And so we see the flame actually come back without any actual reason being there except for the reverse of time. So that was kind of fun, and then we got a date 2026. So this is definitely way out there, but I think they've had some horrible things going on with the development of the game, and finally they're being able to move forward, and they have a target year now, which is great. And so I'll be keeping you guys updated on Prince of Persia, because what we did get with like the Lost Crown and a side scroller we did not want. We also got a rogue Prince of Persia, which we didn't want that either, which again, it's basically the same thing. That's coming out shortly from Ubisoft. Is that's another side scroller, and it's like we want real 3D games like what we had with PlayStation 2, and finally we're going to be getting one, and God, I hope they do it justice. Next, we're going to talk about Assassin's Creed Shadows. So this is coming out November 15th. Just generally speaking, we got to see some combat between both characters, the samurai and the shinobi. Just brute warrior versus stealth and assassination combat. The combat generally looks pretty easy in the game, and there were definitely some dumb moves by the NPCs. Now, I don't know if this is because difficulty was maybe toned down in the game, or if just that's how things are right now. We do have another 6 months until the game actually comes out, so it did say, too, during the presentation that it's like this is a work in progress. And again, the protagonist talks way too much, especially the samurai, which that was frustrating. But what's cool is during certain situations when you're going to like go after the main boss or like a main character to kill or whatever, the game actually lets you choose with some information that it gives you is like, do you want to be the assassin or do you want to be the warrior? And the game actually tells you through those two protagonists, well, these are the advantages, these are the disadvantages, what do you want to do? And it lets you make a decision. So that is kind of cool. The stealth mechanics are definitely enhanced. So I'm seeing a lot of stuff that used to be there, like with Splinter Cell, and we haven't had Splinter Cell in forever. But like you're able to go prone, you're able to put out lights from a distance, you're able to not just use water to hide or grass to hide, but actually submerge yourself in water and hide, and use like a little bamboo straw in order to breathe when you need to. I mean, just those kind of things are just really, really cool. So a lot of Splinter Cell type of stuff is actually coming back. And I wonder if they're kind of testing these stealth mechanics to actually work on the Splinter Cell remake that they're currently working on. Again, this has not been announced. There is no release date for this, but we do hear rumors that they are working on a Splinter Cell remake. So I kind of wonder if there's testing out some of these mechanics in this game for Splinter Cell, which would be awesome. Some of the animations too. I understand this is a work in progress. Some of the animations did look bad. There was one moment in particular where the samurai is attacking some kind of like base level NPC units, and some of the NPCs just had some movements that really didn't make a lot of sense. Not necessarily movements that were like dumb to use, but actually kind of looked bad, just kind of janky, jerky a little bit. Again, but that was only once. Um, but one thing that we do have is we have wider variety of destructible environments, which is cool. So you're able to stab through like certain doors. You're able to damage like crates and lamps around you and stuff and furniture. So that's all actually really cool. And this is a level of immersion that we haven't really had before in an Assassin's Creed game. So that's kind of neat. The seasons too, we have those in the game. So you're going to have, winter, spring, summer, fall, and you're also going to have a day-night cycle. And this is going to change aspects of the game, and maybe even change what protagonist you're going to choose to complete certain missions in the game. So with seasons, like when it's winter, you're not going to have your grass anymore. Maybe the little pools of water are going to be now frozen over. You're also going to be leaving tracks in the snow. When it's summer or springtime, you're going to have grass, you're going to have more foliage, you can hide behind, maybe hide up in a tree or something. And then with the day-night cycle, you'll be able to better kind of see where fires are of enemy NPCs. The routes even of NPCs are going to change too. So when it's colder, when it's darker, their behaviors are going to change and dictate kind of where they are or how they're positioned in a certain base, depending on other kind of seasons or maybe during the day. So you kind of have to be aware of that. And I think that's a cool dynamic. We haven't really seen that before either, at least to my memory. We also have a posture system in the game. So this is going to dictate kind of like your posture, their posture, and some of the NPCs are actually going to change their postures based off of what your posture is, but not all of them. What we got to see is that the posture changes are going to take more of an effect during kind of like low-level bosses or like high-level bosses in the game, but we didn't necessarily see that in general NPCs during combat with the samurai. We basically saw, the low-level NPCs just got absolutely obliterated, so they could show us the brutality, like beheadings and crushing the skull and stuff. There was that too. We did have the samurai stepping on the skull of an NPC, but the skull didn't do anything. So it's like the skull was absolutely left intact. So yeah, it is still a work in progress. I hope they fix those little teeny issues. Overall, I'm still excited for this game, but I hate it when the combat is easy. And I complained about that too in Starfield, back before our big update that we had in May. And I want the game to be challenging, or at least be able to do the game in a way that is more challenging. So I worry about that with Star Wars Outlaws, and I worry about that with Assassin's Creed Shadows. But Outlaws looks a lot more refined than Shadows does. Outlaws actually looks pretty good, and I'm more excited for that one, not just because I like Star Wars, okay? Not lately what they've been doing in the last 5 years, but just generally I enjoy Star Wars, I enjoy space more. But I think it's cool we're getting an Asian type of setting too for Assassin's Creed. But I kind of think they're late to the party, because we've already had like Ghost of Tsushima, we've already had Rise of Ronin, we've already had some other games too. Indie developers or even AA that have put out games like Sekiro or whatever. Okay, so they're kind of late to the party on this one. And while they haven't done it before, and I am excited to try Shadows at some point, it's not as high on my list. So my something else too was the rest of the showcase. We got a few other games, but a lot of it was just DLCs. So the DLC updates were for Prince of Persia: Lost Crown, Division 2, Motorfest, X Defiant, Skull and Bones, For Honor, Frontiers of Pandora, Riders Republic, and then also several mobile games, and even having an ad in there just to promote Rainbow Six Siege. No update, no benefit to like adding a character or anything like that or gear. It was just an ad for Rainbow Six Siege. It was really weird. Almost like it hadn't ever been out before, even though it's been out for like 7 years now. It was just kind of off. Like, everybody knows that Rainbow Six Siege is out there pretty much. That's a gamer. And we either play it or we choose not to, right? One or the other. But for them to have that in the showcase without really showing anything new to present for the game or anything upcoming was just kind of weird. But yeah, my overall thoughts of the entire showcase was like a C minus. It was nice to see actual deep dive and good in-game content for Outlaws and for Shadows. Whether that helped us want to buy it more or not is not the point, but just the fact that they actually did those deep dives was actually really, really nice. Because I'm sure they know that people are leery about their products. They either seem to do pretty well or just absolutely flop, and there's really nothing in the middle. They also haven't had a Game of the Year in a really long time, and I'm sure they're looking for one. So these deep dives were kind of nice to see to try to build confidence in their product and showcase what's different about their products this time than maybe in past games. So that's partly why I didn't give it a D. I gave it more of a C minus. But again, we didn't see a lot of actual games. We saw a lot of DLCs. We saw like 9 DLCs, maybe even 10, and it's just a ton. It was just a ton of DLCs, and I'm not overly excited for those. I want to see what else is coming. And then the other main game that they showed, Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. It's like, okay, the remake's coming in 2026. I'm really not that excited yet. That's 2 years away. Show me something else. But again, they don't have another Rainbow Six game. They don't have other IPs that they're working on or could be working on that they own. They're just letting that stuff flop. And we even know last year they canceled some stuff, like Phoenix Rising. I mean, that was a new IP. They could have really rolled with it. I actually have a physical copy myself. I'll play it eventually someday, maybe when I'm retired. But it's just frustrating that, they could have had some smaller IPs to help kind of fill in stuff. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing right now with like Sony and with Ubisoft and maybe even some other publishers too. It's just there's really not a lot to actually project right now. And 2024 is just kind of a lull year. There's just really not a lot going on. We got more coming in 25, but a ton of it is actually coming through Xbox with what we got to see with these showcases. So the fact, too, that they promoted the mobile games, again, I'm just not interested in that. We also got 2 live performances that just seemed like a waste of time. It's not that they're not talented, okay? Like when we had an orchestra, right, for Outlaws, which, nice music. We also had a physical live performance for Shadows, but again, it's like, I don't care. I'm here for the games. Give me the games, okay? Not trying to be harsh, just trying to be real. One thing that was very nice with Ubisoft Showcase that the others did not do is that they actually had chapters. So you can skip around. If you're doing news like me, it made it a heck of a lot easier to actually find stuff. Make sure that the dates were right. Make sure you're kind of going over content or gameplay again to review that or something. It was just really nice to have chapters, and the fact that the others didn't was just kind of surprising. That's pretty standard for some kind of like professional end streams like theirs, and the fact that Ubisoft had chapters was wonderful. I love that very much. They were the only ones so far. So I believe Outlaws will definitely be bigger than Shadows. I think it'll be received more when people get over the fact that the lady is not as pretty as they would like her to be. I think people are actually going to enjoy the gameplay. But again, people are hesitant with Ubisoft, and there's definitely a reason for that. A lot of us have been burned. We've been frustrated with still the continued same stuff. Okay, I would like to have another Wildlands. I'd like to be able to have more Splinter Cell. I'd like to be able to have more smaller IPs like Phoenix Rising. I would like to have something. They can't just keep. I mean, Frontiers of Pandora was nice, and that actually sold a lot of copies. I think it was 11 million copies so far. Congratulations to them. They probably definitely made money on that. But they need more things in the middle between the big titles, because if we're not really getting much in 2024, we're just basically getting 2 games, and then we're getting a whole bunch of updates between now and the end of the year, or maybe even into 25. They're not really showing us much either for 2025. And the next big game that we have coming from them is Prince of Persia, which is wonderful, but that's 2026. So we got, again, like this big gap, and they got to fill it with something. It can't just be DLC all the time. And two, I would also think that with all of these games they're trying to keep going for more than just a couple of years, they're really kind of pushing themselves and straining their resources and putting them into these games that people aren't as excited about because they've been out for a while, like Rainbow Six Siege, when they could actually be designing completely, something completely different and getting people more excited about them as a publisher and a developer. But like Skull and Bones, why? Okay, it's a done deal. And people just have more fatigue. They're less patient now than they used to be, and I don't think that's just necessarily we're less impatient and have the attention of goldfish. I think it's just more that just we've had a lot of sucky games for 5 years. I mean, these are supposed to be some major banger triple A's from everybody, and that just really hasn't been happening. Double A's been hitting it more out of the park, and it's been making the companies more money too. And so I think we're going to continue to see that trend, but we're kind of in this transition period now where it's painful, and it sucks. So thanks for listening, folks. Again, we got one more showcase at the end of this month, so we're going to get back to some of the content of doing some more Armored Core playthrough. I'm going to try to beat that boss. We're going to do some more Tomb Raider. We're going to work that in there. Lion and I, we might work a little bit more on some of the missions we have left with Ghost Recon Wildlands, but we'll be taking a little bit of a break. He's got some stuff going on this month. He's going to be busy, and so we'll be picking up Elden Ring at the end of the month. I will at least be showing that, and then I'll be waiting for him to become available within about a week or so. And then we're going to play Shadow of the Erdtree, and you're going to get to see the gameplay of that. So thanks for tuning in, folks. Thanks for subbing. I just appreciate that. We've been over 300 subscribers now, and that's just really cool for the channel. That's big for me. And, liking and subbing is free and helps out the channel and stuff. But also share the content if you enjoy it. And, two, just thanks for being a part of it. This channel is not just to entertain you guys, but it's to educate you guys too and keep you guys informed. Because, if I just cared about video games, I wouldn't do this channel. I really care about the other gamers that are a part of it. And, sometimes I don't feel like the publishers really consider us very much. And so that's why I bring you guys the news. And hey, that's not for everybody. Some of you guys are here for entertainment. That's okay. No worries. Okay? A little bit for everybody, but I love doing this channel, and just thanks for being a part of it. So with that, folks, you can always follow me at GamingGarbage22 over at YouTube, Twitch at Don't Tread on the, and also we have our Discord server, link in the description below, not just to mingle and chat, but also to play, look for people to play with regardless of game, regardless of platform. And I will see you guys on the next one.